Back in 2006, Sonic the Hedgehog was released to the world and it almost killed the franchise. Matters didn't help when the following year we got Sonic and the Secret Rings, which is arguably worse than 06. And the next year we received Sonic Unleashed, primarily a response to the underperformance of the latest adventure formula game and the success of God of War. Back in 2008 this game was destroyed by the press, spawning the infamous Sonic was never good jokes, but the year after that we were going to receive Sonic and the Black Knight, the follow-up to Secret Rings. So back in 2009 this did Sonic no good since it was also negatively received by the fans and the critics alike. The franchise would basically be dead at this point. It was colours and generations that temporarily saved it. However, fast forward a decade and these opinions are very different. Sonic 06 is now seeing a new base of fans thanks to its numerous remakes on the PC. Sonic Unleashed is praised for being the best looking in the series as well as still thrilling, engaging, full as heck, all that lovely stuff. Secret Rings really hasn't changed much, but you'd think the same would be the case for Black Knight, but in reality this game is now seen in a new light by a lot of people. Many more fans love this game now, and I personally don't think it's hard to see why. For starters, this game is based on the tale of King Arthur, perhaps one of the most well-known and respected stories to ever exist. Its adaptation of the source material varies in regards to its faithfulness, but inspires from similar tales, at the time a lot more for the context. The locations and enemies all feel very medieval, certainly doing its job. Stages like Camelot Castle and Misty Lake are extremely iconic thanks to their music, fast-paced stage design, as well as how much they introduce you to the game, but levels like Dragon's Lair are also respected thanks to its inclusion of varied visuals and enemy types. And it's called Dragon's Lair for a reason, forget Skyrim. But one of the main reasons the game has so much respect these days is in regards to Sonic himself, not the gameplay. This is the best Sonic has ever been written, period. He has that cocky attitude he was designed around, he's quirky, inspiring, confident and determined. All are great characteristics to have. His dialogue really shows these in action, and the performance from Jason Griffith really puts the nail in the coffin for his last appearance as the character. It's so good. It's this game and Unleashed which makes people see Jason as the best Sonic. He was incredibly comfortable in the role at this point and it shows, and it's a shame that Sega keep doing this. When an actor gets comfortable as Sonic, they sack them. Wanna know something else this game is respected for? Its music. Once upon a time this OST was forgotten alongside the game, but ever since the game came back into the limelight, people have been getting nostalgic over it and the soundtrack has resurfaced and people are now in love with it. I personally always loved the soundtrack. Misty Lake, Titanic Plane and Molten Mine are some of my favourite stage themes, but this game shines with its vocal themes I feel. Night of the Wind perfectly captures that incredibly high energy vibe Sonic has with the incredible instrumental and infectious lyrics. Fight the Night and Through the Fire are very underrated tracks in my opinion, but it's great to see why not a lot of people know about them since they are very short and repetitive tunes. Live Life is probably the best closing theme the series has ever seen, if not Dear My Special Friend from Sonic Unleashed. Plenty of tracks are also reused from older games such as the character themes from Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and to top it all off, With Me is a fantastic final boss theme with a very different kind of energy to it than anything we've seen at this point. It's not Crush 40 in the main game of course, but that is an option as well in the soundtrack. Both are very good versions, but I personally prefer the original. It's threatening, high energy, fun as hell to listen to, and it has super strong vocals. It's great stuff. Visually as well, for a Wii game, this looks pretty good I'd say. Its models take the same art direction as Secret Rings in regards to how they appear on the screen, which is fine and all, but the stages are really gorgeous. Shrouded Forest, Faraway Avalon and the Cauldron are my personal favourites. Alright, so there's no avoiding this, so let's just get to the gameplay. One of the most controversial aspects of the game, and there are three main reasons people are skeptic about this, because the gameplay is 1, it doesn't use the boost formula, 2, it's motion controlled, and 3, the swordplay. The Unleashed complaint is minor since we should have expected a formula refinement rather than change following, the Secret Rings, considering this is a follow-up. But the motion controls I can be picky about, the Wii had numerous different control options or even Unleashed and Colours utilise this, but Black Knight and Secret Rings decided to stay with the motion gimmick in order to try and sell the Wii. I think if the two storybook titles gave the player other control options, they wouldn't really have this much negative reception behind them because it is the control that a lot of people do complain about. Emulators nowadays will allow for the controller support on these titles and it proves that it can work. Even I have gone through them myself with controller and they are massively more playable. It's a missed opportunity. The swordplay however I see as a very petty complaint. People will see it as too weird or unnatural for Sonic, but can we just slow down a moment? We've got magical rocks that turn us into a Super Saiyan, the ability to breathe in space, running at the speed of light, gods of the destruction that are made of water, ultimate lifeform hedgehogs and lizards, demon robots, realistic humans, werewolf Sonic, guns, aliens that grant powers, amusement parks in space, genies in magic books, more recently, strange locations like the Lost Hex, as well as classic Sonic's inconsistent inclusion, but swords are where we draw the line. Now, need I remind you that 4 years prior we had Shadow the Hedgehog, which had literal miniguns, AK-47s, alien rifles, and literal real-world katanas. Seriously, I know that game was a bit of a spoof, but it's not the point, you know, a sword isn't that too unnatural for Sonic. So that one has always been really petty to me, and I can defend the swordplay because of how natural it feels for the character. Sonic can smash and slash and dash, or use the sword to become a buzzsaw, and it's genius. It feels natural as well thanks to the Wii Remote acting like a sword. Like I said before, you can play the game on Dolphin using a gamepad, and while it is less exhausting and a little bit less exhilarating at times, at least it's a bit more responsive. But if there's something I can say about the swordplay, like I mentioned before, and how natural it is for the character, just think about it. If you're going to be a swordsman, you have to be fast and responsive. Sonic is known for being the fastest thing alive, so why not have him zip around with a sword? I think it's a lot smarter than having you run around with a pistol or, something like that. Shadow the Hedgehog was a really strange move in the first place. I know it was made as a response to the fans, and the fans responded negatively to their own wishes, which of course that's just what we do as Sonic fans, but like I said, I think the swordplay is perfectly normal for Sonic, and I just think it works, alright? The moves are satisfying to pull off if it's done right, and it maintains your speed, and it's only an issue because the Wii can be very temperamental with its ability to register motion input, but on a controller it's all good. The soul gauge returns from secret rings, and it's really satisfying to use once more, and to save repeating myself, the gameplay is incredibly satisfying, with thoughtful ideas that have a great execution. Granted, the Wii Remote doesn't give you the finger. However, all games have their issues, so one of the main things that bother me is the blacksmith. It's pretty much useless, you'll probably never use it. It becomes usable so late in the game that it doesn't even matter. Oh yeah, the late game. You beat the game in just under 3 hours, it's incredibly short. The other playable characters don't add much either, because by that time you unlock them, there's like 2 stages left. You can go back for the, bonus levels, but if you don't really have interest in the game and you just want to do the main story, you're not really going to get bang for your buck. Multiplayer is a thing, even though you'll probably never use it, and sadly the game is also on rails like its predecessor, but thankfully has more controllability thanks to the use of the nunchuck, and better design controls full stop. Something else the game could really do better is the difficulty balancing. It's a little all over the place, it starts incredibly easy, but after the second King Arthur battle it suddenly gets quite challenging, and I don't know if that's just me. And the hard modes for the bosses, Lancelot especially, is next level difficult. Something else I have a problem with as well is the content. You'll finish the main stage to progress, but there are side missions for each area. They're inoffensive, yes, but they don't offer much in terms of varied content or gameplay. Rinse and repeat the game's budget shows through things like this, almost as if it went into the soundtrack and cinematics exclusively. But if there's something else that I can complain about, it's the item system at the end of every level. You'll be able to pick between these hidden items, and when you pick them you'll unlock it, and you can use it as the blacksmiths. But like I said earlier, you'll probably never get to use them because it's never really explained to you as the player, and by the time you do get enough things to use them and unlock these new weapons, like I said, it's too late in the game to even matter at this point. While the flaws do seem to be quite major and whatnot, they actually don't hinder the gameplay that much, surprisingly. Black Knight remains an extremely fun and well presented title throughout its runtime, and I really do think, however, that the game works best when looked at through a narrative and character standpoint. Everyone is just so well written, and the story itself is one of the best in the series, and I do think that new games can learn from Black Knight in how to write its characters, especially Sonic. If you haven't played the game before due to it being on motion controls, do try it on Dolphin. I do think you will enjoy it. Sonic and the Black Knight is genuinely a good game, and it always has been in my opinion. I may be a Sonic fan, yes, but I can sense a bad game in the series, and this for me is not one of them. And I know I have a lot of nostalgia for this franchise and this game especially, but I'm not going to put that behind me, because when I was a kid and I used to play Black Knight, I felt no magic playing it, I'll be completely honest with you. It just felt like another game, and the older I got, the more it felt like another game. Black Knight to me, I don't have nostalgia for Black Knight when playing it, I just have nostalgia about seeing it in the store and the merchandise that came with it. That's all I have nostalgia for. When I play the game, I play it like I play any other brand new game, for Christ's sake, I'm not going to let anything like that hinder my review and my honesty about the game. Sonic and the Black Knight, while being one of the most underrated titles in the franchise, yes, I can see why a lot of people don't like it, as well as don't want to play it and things like that. It isn't your typical and traditional Sonic experience, and I understand that puts a lot of people off, especially when you look at the track record the series has for doing things like this. But all in all, if you can just put that aside for a moment and enjoy the game and its narrative, you're going to find a lot of fun in it. But if the gameplay really does hinder your experience that much, just try it on Dolphin. Use a controller, and you might be able to actually get through the game. And if you can't even do that for 3 hours, then I do really think you are missing out. Playing the game is not the same as watching cutscenes on YouTube. you will get a lot more enjoyment if you play the game, I think, and just soak it all in as you're playing it. If you don't want to understand the game, you're never going to like the game. Take your time to learn it. I learned that through Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Anyways, Sonic and the Black Knight for me will probably always be a 7 or an 8 out of 10. I do think it's a good game, and I will probably always revisit it for as long as I know. As long as I have a functioning Wii or a PC that can use Dolphin, I will certainly use Sonic and the Black Knight every now and then. It's a fun little time, just something if you want to unwind with, I think. But regardless, I'm going to stop the waffling. That's all from me today. So join me on Halloween for the very last episode of Hedgehog Month, where we discuss the very best of Crush 40 and the influence it's had on me, as well as probably millions of other people. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later.